Good morning. Don't know if anyone is online yet. Good morning. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. So, what I'm doing is I'm making a bat today. If anyone is online and watching, do let me know if you can hear me well or if the view is good and if it's working. So what I'm doing, this is the bat for Amy. Oh my God, I'm so bad with names. I've just been communicating with her. I'm online. You're gonna hate me for this. Anne, sorry. Um, so this this bat is being made for Anne. She's the one who guessed correctly as to when my new drum carder would arrive. And as I had mentioned, I would be making a bat for that individual. I've made a few bats. Let me just show you one that I made recently. It's with some sparkle, uh, light blue, and some deep blue shades with some aqua and some white silk in there. I have a plan for this, and actually, it's combining this, and I also made a mini bat. So that's I didn't use the entire area of the drum carder, just the center part, and I made a small bat, and these two are going to be combined for a project. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to be trying to do that today. I'm going to work on this yarn. Um, that's part of my Tour de Fleece challenge for today. So, um, if anyone online can hear me, well, let me know. Let me check on my phone whether this is actually working because it's a new camera location, and sometimes you just don't know how these things are working. So, if you can give me a shout out if you are online, I would appreciate that. If anyone, okay, I think I can. It's a new cam. Okay, check my phone. Oh, hey Michael. Hope you're doing well. I saw pictures of you and your partner. Sorry, I'm forgetting his name. So I'm glad you were out and about. So good to know you can hear me. So what I'm doing is I am going to be making a gradient bat out of blues and greens out here. I don't know if you can see those, maybe just on the side view. And I'll be feeding them layer by layer, and then I'm going to flip the bat and card it the second time. The carder that I got is the Strouch Mad Batter. I did quite a bit of research trying to find which is the carder I would like because I do like blending stuff as well, but I do like a lot of art bats with some texture and all kinds of other things in it, and I liked it because of the tall pins in it. Um, there were other features I liked about it, that it was chain driven. I had some trouble with the belt-driven ones, but I was like, let me try this. I've tried a few drum carders by now as well, so I kind of had an idea, and so yeah, this is the one I went with, and so far I'm pretty happy with it. I've made a few bats on it, not a whole lot, but I do like that it doesn't, the Liquorin doesn't really grab anything, even if I put in, textures on it, because the pins are so deep. The texture just gets embedded in, which is nice. And so right now, all I'm doing is teasing some of the fiber. I don't want it to go into, thick clumps. And I also want to add some Nylon Sparkle every now and then. There we go. That I'm just going to put over the drum, not pass it through the Liquorin. So do excuse me if I'm using some terms incorrectly, and feel free to correct me, because this is a new tool for me and I'm learning all the parts for it. So yeah, so I'm going from light to dark of blues and greens. This is quite a yellow green. What Anne did mention is that she's liking saturated colors. This is a saturated colors, but like a brighter saturated color. I hope she likes this. And she said she's into blues and greens these days, so like, why not? Let's do blues and greens. And some sparkle is always good. This does catch a little bit sometimes because, sparkle. This is actually I think this is nylon that I dyed. So, and I'm not putting a lot of it, just a little bit. Let me see if I have some green sari silk here to add along. Just going to add little. I have some blue sari silk there, but I also have some green. So let me add some of that. I love this saturated greens and blues, and that's what she said she liked. So this is perfect. So I'm going to add some of that. And I'm just going to brush it slightly over there. Okay, now we are entering into a little blue-green category. This is pencil roving, but the color was, just perfect to go in between. I'm just going to feed that in. I don't want a tangled mess in there. Are you shooting for gradient in layers? I'm going to do gradient in layers, and then I'm going to flip the bat and pass it through again. Um, so it will be across the width eventually. But I'm going to do two passes of it just for fun. And see, I've not done this kind of gradient before. I've done the across one, but it sometimes felt like the fibers, because there are different kinds of fibers, they were separating uh, in the final bat, and it needed a second pass. So I'm trying it this way. Okay, so since we are moving a little bit towards the blues, let me add some blue sparkle on this side, just a little bit. And this is not the crazy sparkle, this is just the nylon fire star. Just creates a little bit of glitter in it, which I like. Okay, now we are moving into some deeper greens. I did weigh out my fiber. It is approximately around a little more than 2 ounces. So hopefully I'll be able to fit all the fiber and get all the blue in there as well. Just teasing out the fiber. Michael, if you have any tips along the way, I'm all open ears. I'm not a person who's made this stuff forever, and I'm always open to feedback. There's some magenta silk flying in there. That'll be a nice glimpse of color in there. Okay, I think it needs some sparkle. As soon as it gets very dull, I feel it needs a little bit of a shine. And now I think I'll go with some blue sari silk. And this has some magenta blobs in it, which I think will add some good interest. That's a bit too much. Don't want to go crazy. Okay, now we can get into some real deep dark blue. I was wondering whether I should do, yeah, I think I'll do deep blue and then I'll move into a brighter blue. I know as color shades, probably I should do this brighter one first. It is a lighter color than that, but let's have a gradient which is shifting colors from dark to light and then back to a little lighter and brighter. There are no rules that it should be dark to light, right? Or light to dark. I'll just do what seemed like a nice gradient shift to me. Okay, and in this layer I'm going to add some green sparkle. I'm liking a slightly different color shift in the the sparkly stuff. It just makes it a little bit more interesting, right? And it's just a slight brush over. I'm not trying to put a lot of it on because not everyone, like, I like a little bit of sparkle but not a whole lot. Hey Anne, hope you're liking the colors. This is yours, and I'm glad you could join in. It's going to be a gradient, so I've been putting colors in layers, and now I'm on the very top bright blue layer, and then I'm going to be flipping the bat and having the gradient across. So I just put some sparkle. I'm putting some sari silk in there, and it's all in shades of blue and green like you requested. I'm glad I had all the fiber already dyed up, so I didn't have to go dye anymore. Okay. Now is a layer of the real bright blue, and it has some aqua in it, which will all get blended in, but it gives a nice variation. Yeah, I like the 2D effect of sari silk too. I don't know if you saw these bats that I created, Michael, from the Romney. I got from Lopez Island. I'd gotten locks, so I cleaned them, carded them, and then added sari silk bits, and that's what I'm spinning for TDF, Tour de Fleece, and that's one of my bobbins all filled up. And I'm absolutely loving the 2D effect with sari silk. So in that I had used orange and turquoise sari silk, which I really liked. So I like the tweed. I like that just a touch of sparkle. I don't like a lot. Um, Personally, I like the look of bats with a lot of sparkle in it, but when I spin, I'm always like, I'm not quite sure. And so we'll see. Okay, let's put some blue fire star there. Just a touch again, not much. It's a more blue-green color. And now it's just going to be some layers of this deep blue. Yeah, your white sparkle, yeah. I like just a little bit. Like, it needs to just put some shine in it. Means I do have silk. I would prefer silk, but I need to dye a bunch of it first. And so I will be making for some other bats later on with more silk in them. But and the sparkle I like mostly for when I make art yarns out of the bats, because art bats, art yarns make sense. I like how the sparkle looks in coarse spun, but not in generally regular spun. And the real thick, bright, crazy sparkle, that I use very little of, if I do at all. That is this stuff. This stuff I use very little of because it just kind of gets everywhere, and that is if I use it. I won't be using a whole lot of that. I think out of all the add-ins so far, I think Sari Silk has been my favorite, which I should add some more of. Yeah, it can overpower the yarn, that's for sure. And there are some art yarns which I want to make, which are based on certain images and themes that I have in my mind. And they do require a lot of bright colors and a lot of sparkle. But I'm trying to do them in a way where the sparkle does not, overpower the entire yarn. But it does need some sparkle to represent those images. So we'll see if I can get there. That's what those previous bats were, which I had made, which I'd shown earlier. So just gonna tease this, and the carder is almost full, not quite, but I'm not going to push. Like this is, there is just a little bit more wool left, and that would be around my 2.2 ounces of wool plus a little bit of add-ins here and there. I'm gonna do a little bit brush to give it a little shine. I hate it when it catches too much. I just want a little bit. See, it like barely gives a shine to it. That's the level of sparkle I like. And this is the last layer. And let's just compress it a little. And yeah, I'm going to stop there. And yeah, silk oil is a good inclusion too. Yes, and I do have silk oil. Actually, do have some in some of the bright green. Maybe I can do it in the second round. I can add some of that texture in. But let's see. I do have some bright green silk oil that I have dyed. Um, let's avoid it for now. Let me see how I feel when I'm carding it. I'm not going to be adding any more of these elements. Now it's just going to be, um, you know, carding it again to make a gradient across just so that the fibers blend better. I could just leave it like this, but I think a gradient bat which is across looks a lot nicer. But you can see all the green colors, can you? Just slightly maybe. But I don't know, Anne, if you're still watching. If I feel that it really lacks some texture or some craziness, then maybe I'll add the silk oils in it. During the second pass. You're here. And silk oils or no silk oils? What do you think? Since this bat is being made for you, might as well do what you want, right? Okay. Let's get a few stragglers in there, which I like to get started by pulling everything out with this. There we go. Okay. And I love how everything comes out so nicely off this carder. And there's I don't know if you can see the view in the on the liquor in. There is absolutely nothing on the liquor in. It's just like gone. So this is how the bat looks. Now you can see it's green on one side and real bright blue on the other side. Uh, do what you do best. Go with the flow. However you prefer while you're making it. Alright, I'm just gonna go with it. Okay, I'm glad you're loving the blues and greens. Now I'm gonna pass it through the carder again so that we get a gradient going from, green to blue across. So I'm just splitting this uh, in individual sections. And making sure, so that's how the gradient is going to be. And hopefully I can pass it through the carder nice and evenly so as to maintain the gradient and not mess it up. So that's going to be a gradient and I'm loving it. I like that it is goes from light to dark and a really deep color and then a lighter, almost like a light bright blue again. So let's make it go through there again. Just want to make sure that it's not very dense amount of fabric, because the second time going around I've done this before, and it's best when the layer is thin. That's just naturally true when you're passing stuff through the carder. You don't want whole bunch of fabric going in, but you don't want thick clumps going in either. And it has these nice elements of the sari silk kind of popping here and there, so that's got to be interesting. I just have to make sure I put green on one side and the blue on the other side, and that the layer is thin enough and can go through the carder again. I'm actually liking it as is. I'm not finding the need to add more textured elements. I think this has just enough. It'll have a little bit of that tweedy effect from the sari silk, as well as being a gradient with a little bit of sparkle, and I think that is pretty decent amount of elements added in. And I'm sure there might be better ways of doing what I'm doing. This is the way I figured it might work. Oh, you're not good with I hope I'm doing well and doing justice here. It's yeah, I hope you like the bat. I've never done a gradient as such. Like I've only like done some bats by passing through a few times, so I know how to split up the bat and kind of make it go through. This I have seen a few samples done by Jazz Turtle Esther Rogers in her carding color DVD. So I got some tips from there. I know Mary from Kamaj Fibers also has a class, but I've not taken the class. So I'm sure she would have some other tips on how to do this. Um, so I'm just going. So this is the way I'm doing it, and hopefully it I'm liking the way it's turning out. So this was too thick. Let me just split it up again and then split it. I think the key is it's like it's very tempting to just turn your bat sideways and just shove it back in because you don't want to mess up by splitting up the colors. But I think it helps to take your time to thin it down and put it in layers. Yeah, I like it. I tried, like I said, I did try just doing a side by side gradient from the first pass itself. It's just that the fibers kind of stay very separate and then the colors kind of stay in their place. This way they get a little bit more of a blend, and because the fiber kind of moves left or right a little bit, and it also in the bat it turns into a gradient. So I had seen this, it's not my original way of doing it or anything. Like I said, Jazz Turtle had mentioned it in her DVD, and so that's what I'm trying here for the first time, and so far I'm liking the results. So I guess if you wanted to make a gradient yarn out of it, you could just split the entire bat in half and then spin from light from one color to the next on one ply, light color to the next on the other ply, and ply them together, and you would get a very even two ply uh, gradient bat. Now the only thing you want to make sure is that your fibers don't flip around while you're feeding it in the second pass, because that would kind of mess up your gradient, right? So we don't want that to happen. And also what the second pass does is it kind of spreads the fiber evenly over the bat, so you don't have like thick spots and thin spots. It kind of evens it out in the second pass. So I'm kind of liking the whole process of doing a second pass on most of my bats. It does sometimes for textured bats, I think it'll land up blending too much, and if that is something you don't want, then you have to be careful of that. Now in this, when I split it, I didn't split it too well, where I didn't get much of the green, so I'm going to avoid putting this like evenly across. I'm just going to put it halfway across where those colors are. I don't want to move the entire bat on that side and cover up my light green. There is light green, but it's in the other section, so it's out here. So that's the last chunk of bat left, and so far we have maintained a pretty decent gradient. My first time, yes. Well, thank you. I'm glad you think I'm rocking it, and I hope you have fun spinning it, because it's going to you now. I will not know how well the bat spins. Well, the bats I've made so far, like the Tweedy one I had shown, that did spin up really nice. I'm still working through it. So, um, okay. Can you see the beauty of those colors there? It has a little bit of sparkle in it, a little bit of sari silk texture, which is going to appear more while you spin. I don't personally like to put a lot of texture and everything on top because it just falls off when you take the bat off or when you do anything else to it. So I'm just going to leave it like this. No more textures or anything added. I didn't feel like that it needed more. And the second time around, the bat kind of breaks off nicely at the same spot. I don't know why that is. I have to put my engineering head to mind for that one. I think it blends evenly, so it kind of makes a break more evenly rather than, some long bits and some short bits going back and forth. That's what in my head, that's what makes sense, but I don't know. Like, see, they're all kind of breaking at the same point out here. Earlier, I had some long bits going across, but I think it's got to do with the second pass, blending the fibers more and making sure everything is like kind of the same. Well, it's the staple length is the staple length of every fiber, but once it's blended, it kind of evens it out. Okay, let's get the very last bit out of fiber there. I need a different kind of a sharp tool because this hook always leaves some fiber behind. Like just tearing it off, it doesn't get all of them every time. Sometimes it's fine. And of course, you don't want anything on the very edge lying there. Now let me make sure everything is off. I love this hairbrush tool. This was suggested by Mary in one of her live classes, and it's really great to clean the drum and to get everything off from the drum. It's really amazing. It's on Amazon. It's called a hairbrush cleaner, and it removes everything off the drum. And the other trick that I learned from her was to just hold the fiber really close to the carder, and you will get everything off the carder with no real cleaning required. You can see that's what's happening here. So look at that. Isn't that lovely? I love it. I hope you like it too, Anne. So it has a good gradient going from like lime green to deep blue greens and then to a brighter blue again. So let me go ahead and decide which side I would like out. Both sides look good. So, so that's the bat, and uh, I'm just going to roll it out so I can package it to ship. And that's the bat in all its glory. So, and I hope you like it. Yeah, the more it goes through, the smoother it lines it, and I think it blends it more, so it makes that breaking point a lot easier. But you can see why I like this carder is there is absolutely nothing left on the main drum. There is just a little bit of that was all the fiber that really got stuck on the liquorin. The liquorin is mostly clean. And now, while we are at it, I will still run this brush across to show how amazing it is to clean up the carder with it. So first, just go over the liquorin, even though there's hardly anything on it. If there is anything on it, it will catch on this, and I will show you. So that's all what was on the liquorin. There's some stuff on the brush, which also I can use this tool for. And I'm going to just go ahead and run this over. Though I can't see anything, but still some very tiny fibers which are, lodged maybe deep in there. And since this has such long tongs in it, it really gets in deep to clean it up. But that's all the stuff that was on the main carder and the liquorin. That's it. fluff for the next bat. Or one of those crazy bats, right? Which has everything in the kitchen sink. But it's all clean, all done. And Amy, on Monday, I will. Uh, that's from Mary, yes. Mary suggested this tool. That's where I got. I saw her live video and she mentioned about it, and it is from Amazon. I don't think she sells it on her website. She had mentioned the Amazon link as well. It's a Olivia Garden brush cleaner, like for cleaning hairbrushes. And I don't like using this side of it. And there are cheaper versions of this, but they have only this end, which really is not effective in cleaning the carder. It's this one which has the tongs spaced out, which is much better. And this is like around 14 or $15 on Amazon. So I'm not big on, buying every tool that I see, but I saw how effective it was on her videos, and I did try the Strouch cleaner as well. They give you this cleaner brush as well, and they said you can use this on this, but the thing is the length of these pins is actually not deeper, so I can't get really deep into this because the pins on my carder are really deep. So it's kind of hard for me to get all the way down with this. But with this, I can really clean it up easily. Hey, Wendy. Oh, do you want to see the bat I just created? That's the one we just did. That was for Anne, who won the prize for guessing the date when my carder would arrive, which was, I think, the 24th or 25th. It was a long wait. At least in my head, it was a long wait. I did get it fairly soon enough, but I just felt I was waiting for it forever. So, well, thank you everyone for joining me, and I hope you like your bat, and thank you so much for participating. And do let me know how this spins up, because that's where it all matters. It is nice. It's all merino fiber. I I would say around 80% of it was dyed by me. The remaining 20% was from mill ends. Some very good quality mill ends that I get from Tenny's fiber, Sherry Tenny. And and those are a few of the dark colors. I haven't had any trouble with her fibers bleeding or anything, so I think that should be fine. But that is the stuff I can't really be sure of. But wash in cold water, whatever yarn. You're a spinner, you know what to do. And what was the other thing? Yeah, and then the sari silk bits and all of that. That's not stuff I have dyed. That's sari silk I got from Car Park Artisans on Etsy. She also has a website. I got a whole bunch of different colors because I love sari silk so much. I got all these 1 ounce packets in all the colors I could. So that's what that is. Well, I hope you enjoyed the carder view of everything, how everything looks. If you have any feedback, how you would like to see the videos, or the view or anything, um, more close up, more further away detail, more aligning of fibers when I put in the carder, which you could probably see in this view. But let me know, and I will catch you later. All right, take care. Bye. Bye, Anne.